So I always ask people and challenge people, like when you say something to the extent of, not you, but just a person, I'll get to it tomorrow. I'm like, who promised you that? Right? I'll get to it a month from now. I'm like, who promised you that? Right? Because life changes so quick, right? And as people, we're often arrogant. I was one of them. We live our lives and we feel as if we're promised something, right? But when you think about it, it's like when we try to control things. But when you really think about the macro of life and the grand scheme of life, we really don't have any control, right? We can control what we possess: emotions, attitude, thought process, perspective, how we speak, how we respond. But just life in general, we have no control of that, right? You think about how many people woke up this morning thinking like, man, everything is gonna be great, and life changed, right? One day you wake up on top of the world, next day you wake up, world is on top of you, right? And so it's affected my mentality and my perspective just toward life, how I greet people, how I see people, how I interact, right? Just that one moment and one element of the injury, right? It's so many things that's happened inside of the injury that shaped and molded me as a person. People see the injury. People don't always think about the intricacies of how it shaped and molded and cultivated who I am as a man until this day. That's the athlete's mentality. You think you can come back from anything. And so even, you know, when I woke up and they were telling me that your career's probably over, your arm and hand will probably never be the same again, because the medical term for my injury is a brachial plexus avulsion, and I ruptured my subclavian artery. And so when they were telling me this, I'm like, no way. Like, I worked too hard, man. I've been working for this since I was a kid. And now I get to the point to where I could possibly get drafted, and now I lose it all? I'm like, no, man. And so I went back to the sandpit that week, right? The next week, I was in the sandpit with my teammates with a Dunjoy sling and a Velcro strap with staples in my body from incisions from surgery, right? I was back in the indoor complex running. I didn't have peace at first because it was almost surreal. I remember going to sleep early, like every day, like 6 p.m., 7, right? Thinking that, man, when I wake up in the morning, I'll be able to feel my arm again.
Really?
Yeah. Thinking that, man, like when I wake up, I'll be able to feel my arm. And I would wake up, man, and I would touch my arm, I'd touch my hand, be like, man, I still can't feel it. So I would go to sleep early thinking it was a bad dream, right? I just couldn't come to grips with that I could just lose it like that. Hey man, life don't owe you a thing, right? Like, okay, something happens to you, pick up the pieces, move forward. And so I never thought of anything that happened, anything I went through with my family, like as anything special. Everybody got a story. That's how I view life. Everybody done been through something, right? Everybody's gonna encounter something. And so I never looked at speaking. I think the beautiful thing about adversity and opposition, when you live with it, it teaches you, right? If you're open to it, right? When you live with challenges, it teaches you. Easiest thing in the world to do is to be negative.
So easy.
Easiest thing in the world to do is complain. Easiest thing in the world to do is to quit. That's easy. Me and you both can walk out of this building and see something on the streets of LA and say, man, that's whack, and complain about it. Or we can look at it and say, you know what, man, that's really unfortunate. But if they did this, if they can change this about it, I think that can be a beautiful situation.
Yeah.
That's a gift and that's a talent that not everybody has. And it's extremely underrated. Extremely underrated.
Yeah.
But it's extremely powerful when used in the right manner. It's moments like that that you remember that shape and mold you as a person as you go throughout life. And I think we all have them, right? We all have these moments, right? Whether it be humility moments, whether it be, moments that keep us grounded. It's just we choose sometimes to forget them.
Yes.
But I feel like we all have those encounters that as we navigate and we go and we grow throughout life, it's those moments that keep us grounded, that makes us remember where we come from, that makes us remember how we've gotten to the points that people know us at, that we look back and we think and we reflect on to where we can say, all right, I got it. And for all of us, we're gonna encounter those defining moments in our lives, right, to where it's gonna hurt. And I'll never forget that person saying, you know what? Life is so cold-blooded, you're gonna get knocked out like that again and again. So the challenge is, will you learn the lessons from it so the lessons doesn't have to keep getting repeated and you keep having to learn?
Right.
So when you go through these things of opposition, adversity, and challenge, it's always a lesson. It's always a blessing. It's up to us to extract it. And if we're so concerned with trying to understand why, we're going to miss the lesson, right? We're going to miss the blessing, and the lesson is going to keep repeating itself. So that's the key to life. I think sometimes when things don't go our way, the quote says it. You judge the true character and caliber of a person, not by where they stand in times of comfort and convenience. You judge the true character and caliber of a person by where they stand in times of challenge and controversy, right? It's an incredible thing, and character can be cultivated in the midst of opposition and adversity. That's the reason it says it. It's King's quote. It doesn't say you judge character by how a person responds when everything is going good. But when things go wrong, things don't go the way you want them to, they don't unfold the way you want them to, who are you? Because that's the true test of who you are as a person. That's your true character. That's the essence and the ethos of who you are as a person. Everybody is going to smile when the sun's shining, man. But the song says it. Can you stand the rain, baby? Like it says it. And so in light, can you stand the rain? That's the true test of character.